Hey guys, I just wanted to talk about helicopters today because most of the time you guys hear me talking about quads and stuff, and this is where I specialize, and this is where I like to, spend my money on the nano quads. This is where I specialize, I guess. But recently, at a local Walgreens, I found a Propel helicopter. Not this one. It was a cheaper one, and it was pretty interesting. The whole setup and how a helicopter works compared to a quad has a lot more moving parts and stuff. So I just wanted to talk about the different types of helicopters that you can get for a nano scale and for a pretty cheap price. Because for beginners, you really don't want to go ahead and spend like $1,000 on something really expensive and end up crashing it or something and breaking it, and then you have to buy all these repair parts. So I'm just gonna go over some things you should look for and some of the things that you want to see, some of like the attributes that they all have, the differences between some of them. So first I want to explain to you how they work, because as you can see, some have two sets of props, not including the back one, while others have only one set of props. We're going to start with the one set of prop because it's where I started with my RC helicopters, which I did have two or three of, and when I was little I took them apart because I didn't really understand how to fly them. I didn't really respect how they flew. So the difference between these ones and the other ones is, as you can see, you have one prop right here. This is not a variable pitch prop, even though it does actually vary its pitch. It's not controlled. You cannot control the pitch of the main prop here. And if you notice, the rotor on the back is on its side, facing horizontally, like it should be in a real helicopter. So this looks a lot more like a real helicopter. However, if you look at the controller right here, which is a little hard to see, so you can find a better picture. So anyways, you see that there's only up and down, that's your throttle, and then left and right, which would be the rotation, like the yaw. And what that means is that you're going to have throttle, you're going to be able to go up and down, but this helicopter is weighted in the nose so that you're always having forward motion. You can't stop and hover, you always have to be moving forward. And that's the main difference between that and these, which this is kind of a bad example because this is the world record smallest helicopter that you can buy, mass produced. Here's a better one. As you can see, there's two rotors, and then the rotor in the back. Okay, here's a good picture. There's two rotors, and then there's a rotor in the back facing up and down. Now what this does is the two rotors actually spin in opposite directions. So this one on the bottom here spins in the opposite direction as the one on the top. And this one in the back here spins up and down to give it kind of like a forward motion. So while this throttles up in the back, you'll start to move forward, and vice versa. The way the yaw works is it spools up the motor a little bit in one way or another way to give it yaw, and then everything else just basically works the same. You got throttle, you can go up and down, you have to turn, and then you can go forward. However, with this one you can hover. So prices vary, of course. You can get a pretty cheap one, and you can also get a pretty expensive one. I would start with this kind right here, just because you can go to like Walmart or wherever, or Target or Toys R Us, and just buy a really cheap one for like maybe $12, $15. And definitely go get them at Banggood for a lot less, but you can get them for pretty cheap and everything, and it's not gonna like bog you down. These ones are still pretty cheap. They're not gonna be too hard to find. These ones might even be more common than the other ones in some places. So if just make sure you're not paying like over $30 for one of these for your first one at least, because like with this right here, this is pretty small. This is absolutely tiny. These ones tend to be a little bit bigger, the ones that only have one prop on them or one blade. But they all seem to come in pretty cool styles. Airhogs makes a lot of them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about helicopters. I mean, you can go up into the better ones and get a collective pitch helicopter where you can actually control the pitch, and that's more for 3D and stuff. But that's well after you've mastered this kind of helicopter and all the smaller ones. Those seem to be very expensive. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to know. I mean, you kind of get a hang for it if you buy a pretty good model. It's not anything too hard, it's not overwhelming. They're pretty cheap and easy to replace. They're also pretty durable too. This in particular model, I had one very similar to it. This whole thing right here slides forward and back along the aluminum rod that they have through here. So you can actually control your speed by doing that. If you move forward, you're going to have more forward motion because your center of gravity is moved closer to the front. If you move backwards, it's going to move slower because your center of gravity is further towards the back. So anything like this is good. I mean, Airhogs is a great company to start with. There are obviously better ones. Propel is another good company. As you can see, these are metal parts though, and they tend to be making the higher end products in the market. I feel like Propel though is kind of a little bit of a hidden company. I don't hear too much about them. I haven't seen too many reviews on them. However, they seem to be putting out a lot of high-tech product and stuff. So yeah, I recommend you stick with Airhogs to begin with, or if you know you're gonna be able to get into this a lot, go with Propel. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. So have fun, don't spend too much, and yeah, that's about it. So enjoy the helicopters that you guys buy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Here's a perfect example of what I was discussing earlier with this can move forward and backward based on how much speed you want to have. So as you see, Airhogs has made tons and tons and tons of different models. Here's another Airhogs. There's another Airhogs. I'm pretty sure these are Airhogs. Yep, Havoc Stinger, Havoc Hellies. So yeah, they're Airhogs. Just you can get pretty much any style you want. You can go crazy with Airhogs, Hellies, and they all pretty much function the same. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So enjoy the helicopters.